This is Jump, Book 1 of the Robert March Chronicles, Chapter 5.
I had no idea where we were headed, but it seemed to be towards the northeast. After an hour or so, the truck slowed, then came to a complete stop. I heard a voice asking to see the truck's manifest. After a minute or so, the driver pulled out again, but at a slower speed. My guess was that we had entered a military post of some kind. The truck eventually came to a stop. I heard what sounded like a hangar door opening. We pulled forward. The big door closed behind us. After a minute or so, the captain pulled back the tarp.
Okay, you can get out now.
We climbed out of the truck. We were in what appeared to be an airplane hangar. Huge, dark, empty.
Follow me, please.
Where are we going, Captain?
We're going where I was told to take you, Mr. March. Sorry, but that's all I can give you. We're very compartmentalized with our info around here.
He walked toward a door at the back of the hangar. Frank and I followed. There was a keypad next to the door. He punched some numbers into it. It buzzed, and the door opened. We entered into a long, brightly lit hallway, with other long, brightly lit hallways branching off of it. Completely empty. No people whatsoever. We walked, turned, walked, turned. Finally, we reached an elevator. The captain punched the down button. The door opened. We stepped inside. The door closed, and we began what had to be the longest elevator ride of my life. Longer than the ride down from the top of the Empire State Building that I've taken a few times. Seriously long. We must have been half a mile down into the earth when we finally reached the bottom. The door slid open. We stepped out into a small foyer where 3 men waited for us, 2 army generals and a civilian. One of the generals stepped forward and shook my hand.
Hello, Robert. Good to see you again.
What the hell? It was my commanding officer from my army days. Captain Allen?
Well, I'm General Allen now.
You could have knocked me over with a feather. Allen, of all people. I had barely given him a thought since I left the service back in 19. I never fathomed I'd ever see him again, not in a million years. Yet there he was. He hadn't changed much. Same rugged face, same cold blue eyes, same black hair, now flecked with a bit of gray. Tall, fit, every inch the soldier.
Robert, this is General Crane, our Director of Intelligence.
Hello.
And this is Dr. Michael Watts, head of our Technology Division.
Welcome to Fort Stratton, Mr. March. It is truly an honor.
I stood there, pretty much dumbfounded, trying to wrap my head around the fact that I was in some kind of top-secret bunker with my old CO.
I know you have questions, Robert, and we are here to answer them. Follow me, please.
He turned and headed down the long hallway. I hesitated for a second until General Crane motioned me forward with a wave of his palm.
After you, Robert.
What was I going to do? Refuse? Then what? I was a half-mile underground in some kind of secret military installation in the middle of who knows where. It's not like I could run and hide. So I followed, with Crane and Watts trailing behind me. Eventually, we came to a secured door. Allen removed a card from his pocket, scanned it, and the door opened into a small conference room. We went in. One thing I learned in business is that timing is everything, and it turned out that the timing on this whole adventure was off by a mile. My debriefing was led by Alan. Crane and Watts played the roles of silent observers, at least in the beginning.
First, let me say that what we are dealing with here, and what you've been caught up in, is a matter of the gravest importance. Our actions in the next few hours will mean the difference between life and death for literally millions of people.
Look, General. A couple of hours ago, my twin's head exploded in my face, and I barely escaped taking a bullet myself. Just what exactly is going on here? And who is trying to kill me?
We'll get to that, Robert. If you'll allow me to continue...
I'm not allowing shit, sir. With all due respect. I'm fully prepared to clam up and let you guys have your way with me. Torture me, kill me, eat me. I don't care. 5 hours ago, I was ready to end it all anyway. My life is in ruins. Now I'm on the run from an assassin and in the company of you spooky sons of bitches in a bunker about a half-mile underground. I need some answers.
We have answers, Robert, but not all of them. And that's why you're here. You have the device.
You mean this? I retrieved the tiny thing from my pocket and threw it on the table. Their eyes bugged out at the sight of it. Especially Watts. I have no idea what it is or where it came from, but there's nothing in this world that I know of that'll be able to read what's on there. Trust me on this. I have a bit of experience in this line of work.
We are aware of your expertise, Robert. Watts, why don't you jump in here, please?
Watts tore his eyes from the device and looked at me. He was a small man, thin, bearded, about 30 years old.
Mr. March, first of all, let me say that I'm a huge fan of yours. My doctorate was on computational nanotechnology, and I cited your discoveries extensively.
My sympathies, Dr. Watts. It must be quite embarrassing to have based your work on a discredited idea.
I disagree totally. Your discoveries have never been disproven.
Tell my board of directors that.
The collapse of IntelliGenery in no way discounts the veracity of what you uncovered in your research. Sure, there were problems in taking those ideas to the market, and it remains to be seen if your ideas are, in fact, patentable.
Clearly they aren't.
But your discoveries will, in my opinion, stand the test of time. Which brings us back to this.
He pointed to the device. He slowly reached for it, paused, looked at me, looked at General Crane. Crane gave him a slight nod. He picked it up and examined it with an expression on his face that could only be described as awe.
Unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. And I can state with certainty that the technology behind that thing does not exist. At least not in the private sector. I assume it's something that you guys came up with. I'd like to think that what we were doing at IntelliGenery was the bleeding edge. But maybe the military was way ahead of us after all.
We have certainly made major progress in some areas, Robert. But this is not ours. And it didn't come from the Russians or the Chinese. You're correct in your assessment. The technology that runs it is not currently available.
He paused and looked into my eyes.
We need you to hack it.
I almost laughed. With what, General? My good looks? Unless you guys have some kind of alien technology you're hiding in Area 51 that can do it, we would need a new Manhattan Project just to begin. This brought a response from the heretofore silent General Crane.
Maybe not.
He was a stocky man, bull-necked, with sleepy-looking gray eyes shrouded under dark brows. Okay, General. What exactly do you have in mind?
Mr. March, what we're about to tell you involves the most highly classified secrets in the history of this agency. It goes without saying that what you're about to learn can never leave this room.
Look, my day so far has included, let's see, the total collapse of my business, a thwarted suicide attempt, and learning that there's 4 versions of me, one of whom had his head blown off in front of my eyes, and another who's currently dying in a hospital in San Francisco. I narrowly escaped death by way of an omniscient Uber driver, and now I'm down here in Dr. Strangelove's war room with you guys. I'm pretty sure I'm either dreaming or I've gone batshit crazy. The idea that anyone would believe a word of this and not put me in a rubber room for the rest of my cursed life is laughable. Crane sat stone-faced for a moment, then said,
We need you to take this device into one of the parallels, timeline 4 to be exact. We need you to gain access to a location there that houses the technology that can read it. We need you to decrypt what's on it and bring that information back to us.
Oh, is that all?
That's the basics, yes.
I laughed. I don't even know what to say no to here.
The lives of millions of people hinge on this, Mr. March. If we aren't successful, they'll probably die.
Oh, really? Who will die? How? He looked at Alan.
You want to take it from here, General Allen?
Alan stood and walked over to me.
Robert, have you ever thought about the fact that the oath you took when you became a soldier didn't have an expiration date?
Actually, no. I've never thought about that. I was suddenly seized from behind. Someone was holding me down in my chair. I couldn't move. I felt something poke my arm.
We're sorry about having to do it this way, Robert, but things will start to make sense when you wake up.
Everything went black.
You've been listening to Jump, Book 1 of the Robert March Chronicles. For more information, visit therobertmarch.com.